Good. There we go. So, welcome everyone to the Tableau Prep user group. We have two great speakers for you today. We have June dialing in from Sydney, Australia, and we have Lee dialing in from New York. And my name's Jack Parry. I am one of the co-leads of the Tableau Prep user group. We've been running this for a good few years now. The idea of this was really to bring some prep-specific sessions to everyone out there that's a big Tableau Prep fan. When I started the user group a few years ago, I felt that many of the user groups I attended were always focused around Tableau Desktop, and we wanted to give Tableau Prep its space to be celebrated. So that's what this user group is all about. I'm sure some of you have been before, some of you this might be your first time. Before we get going, I do want to just apologize for the constant rescheduling of the event. I think depending on when you RSVP'd, you might have had a calendar invite for 6 o'clock and then it was 5 o'clock and now it's 5:30. I will take full responsibility for that. There was some issues with the original schedule time, and then I had a meeting that got put in right until 5. So I apologize for that. Hopefully it hasn't caused too much confusion and you received the updates through Bevy. But as a reminder of your Tableau Prep user group leaders, we have myself, we have Jenny Martin and Jared Flores. Jared and Jenny are both Tableau visionaries, very big in the Tableau Prep space. Jenny runs the Tableau Community Challenge Prepping Data, and Jared has a YouTube channel dedicated to Tableau Prep as well. So great people to connect with. They're both obviously not here today and unavailable for today's session, but if you're heading to Tableau conference, they are both going to be there. I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. If you are a regular at the Tableau Prep user group, you will be aware that we have a Slack space where people can connect with the Tableau Prep product team and connect with other people with Tableau Prep issues. We try to monitor that fairly regularly to give people solutions to the problems they may have. And also for you to connect with other like-minded people. So if you do want to join there, there's a link that you can join up to our Slack workspace. I can also put the link in the chat. I appreciate it might be more useful to have a QR code there, but I can drop that in the chat once we've gone through this initial intro session. As a reminder, we made some changes to the user group in 2024. So before this year, we were rotating the user group around different geographies. So we would rotate the session between the Americas and EMEA, the Americas and Asia Pacific, which is what this session caters for today. And then we would have one session that was EMEA and APAC. And due to attendance and where users are based, we found that we were seeing a big drop off in the EMEA and APAC. So we have changed this slightly this year, where there will always be an America's friendly time zone, and then we'll rotate that between EMEA and APAC. And if you're interested in presenting at a future user group, we'd love to have you. There's a link here, which again, I will put in the chat if you want to present a session, or also if you're just wanting to suggest a session that gets spoken about, then we're happy to lean into that for you. If you are looking to speak as well, and you're part of the Tableau community, maybe you are a leader of another user group, or you're an ambassador, or you're a visionary, you can also reach out to Jenny and myself and Jared on Slack. That's how we've got June in for this session today. So we're always on the lookout for new speakers, so please feel free to reach out. Tableau conference is coming up very, very soon. I was just discussing with someone that it feels very much like it's crept up on us. I think that's because one of the days is in May, and that's making me think that the whole conference is in May, when really it's just the week after next. So if you are heading to Tableau conference, I've got a couple of sessions that might be of interest to you, but it is coming up April 29th to May 1st in San Diego, and also live on Salesforce Plus. So if you aren't fortunate enough to make the journey to San Diego, then I would encourage you to register on Salesforce Plus, where you can stay up to date with all of the key sessions such as IronViz, Data Night Out. Sorry, not Data Night Out, Devs on Stage. You could have your own virtual Data Night Out, or maybe a local one, but that's not a virtual event. There's a whole bunch of great sessions on there. You can still RSVP for Tableau conference if you are thinking about making a last minute trip to San Diego. There's a special user group promo that you can use. Here is the code. I will share that again in the chat. So if you're umming and ahhing, you're on the fence and you want to get 35% off your ticket, then you can do so with this code. I will share that in the chat. Some sessions that might be of interest to you if you are heading to San Diego. We have Prepping Data Live. So if you're a Tableau Prep user, you may well be aware of the community challenge Prepping Data that's led by Jenny and Carl Olchin. In San Diego for Tableau Conference, Jenny Martin and Lorna Brown will be delivering this session. Lorna is also a long-term Tableau visionary. She runs Workout Wednesday. If you're familiar with that challenge, I'm sure you'll be familiar with Lorna. So they have a great session, hands-on, where you can learn from some great minds about Tableau prep. I'd also keep an eye out for Jared Flores' session. He has got some speedy data prep, quick wins with Tableau prep. Jared is incredibly knowledgeable about the tool. His sessions are always great. So I'd encourage you to check that out as well. Some of these sessions may also be on Salesforce Plus. I'll have to double check that, but if you are in San Diego, then these are definitely ones to check out for you. And then finally, not specifically Tableau prep related, but I think a very interesting and topical conversation with all of the buzz around AI at the moment, especially with some of the latest Tableau product release. We have Will Sutton, Adrian Stein, and Joe Ostrovsky delivering a session on Is AI the Death of the Analyst? I've seen Will present a number of times. He won IronViz a couple of years ago. He's always delivers great presentations, so that could be another one to check out for you. But on to today's sessions. We have Lee coming in from the Data School in New York, talking to us about his ANOVA analysis he's done in Tableau Prep. So he has leveraged R and RServe to create some prep flows that allow him to run this analysis. And I believe Lee will also be presenting his output in Tableau Desktop. And then we have June Kim dialing in from Sydney, Australia, who is a Tableau Forums ambassador, and June is going to share his secrets to accelerating your Tableau learning. So maybe you're just starting out in the space and you want to get some tips and tricks. June is on hand to answer those questions and give you those tips for you. So I'm going to pass over to Lee now. Lee, you should be able to share your screen and take over. I will dump all of those links and the discount code in the chat. And so I'd like to welcome Lee to the stage.
Thanks, Jack. Could you help me give me the access to share the screen, because right now, okay.
Yeah, I think I probably needed to stop sharing.
Oh, okay.
But you should see the button at the bottom now.
Yes, I can see it. Cool.
There we go. We can see your screen. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lee, and I'm from Data School, New York. Thank you for joining the Tableau Prep user group today. And the topic that I will present today is ANOVA analysis with R. A little bit about myself. I'm from Data School, New York, cohort 5, and I graduated from UC Davis in California in 2021 with the computer science major. Yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any more questions about the session today. And in the free time, I also write some blogs about Tableau and Alteryx. So you can access to the dataschool.co.uk/blog. And there are many blogs of the consultants in the data school. They will share some tips in both Tableau and in Alteryx. And for the agenda for today, first of all, I will share how to set up the environment to run R in Tableau Prep Builder. And then we'll share how to write the function in R. with the demo after that, and the question and answer session later. To set up the environment, so we need to install R, and then we need to install and load the R package to run the R script in Tableau Prep Builder. We need to install the R server package, and then run R serve executive 5. Um, After that, we can connect to the R serve to run the R script. I will show you step by step later. So you can install R from that web page and then choose the operating system that you are using, like Linux, Mac OS, or Windows. And then you can install and load the R package by using the script like install.package and the name of the package in the double quotation mark. If you have more than one packages to install, you can use the C function and then list on the packages in the parentheses. That's for install R package. And then after you install, you can load the R package by typing library with the name of the package in the parentheses without the quotation mark. Uh, to run R script in Tableau Prep Builder, you need to install rserve package by using install package rserve, and then you have to load the rserve library by using library function with the rserve inside, and then run the rserve executive 5 by typing rserve and open and close parentheses in the R console. So every time when you need to run the R script in Tableau Prep Builder in your local machine, you have to repeat these steps. If you work with the Tableau server and your Tableau server install the R serve already, you don't have to do these steps. And in Tableau Prep Builder, you can connect to rserve by going to the Help menu and in the top, and then choose Settings and Performance. After that, choose Manage Analytics Extension Connection. And then the Analytics Extension Connection windows appear. Right here, there are two options for you to choose. One is for TabPy to run Python script, and another one is rserve to run rscript. So in this case, we'll choose rserve. With the server is the local host, and the port number by default is 6311. And then you click on sign in. In Tableau Prep Builder, it doesn't have the test connection button to test if it works with rserve in your local host. But just try to click sign in, and then rserve will the Tableau Prep Builder will automatically connect with rserve. To write a function in R, in the session today, I use ANOVA as an example. And ANOVA is an analysis of variance, a statistical method to analyze the differences between the means of two or more groups or the treatments. And there are two types of ANOVA: is one way and two way. The difference is one way only use one independent variables, and then you compare between the means of three or more groups of an independent variable on the dependent variables. But for the two-way ANOVA, it had two independent variables, so you can compare the means of three or more groups on the dependent variable and on each other. So in the session today, I will use two-way ANOVA as an example. And the sample data that I will use today is the diet data. That's a fake data. I use AI to generate this data set, and it has two independent variables. One column is called diet types. One column is gender. So those are two independent variables. And another column is weight loss. That's independent variables. And in the session today, I would like to see how two of those independent variables affect the weight loss. Um, to return the ANOVA result in R, I need to use the Six Sigma libraries. So you need to install the package Six Sigma in the R console and load the Six Sigma in the R console. To get more information about this package, you can click on the source link right at the bottom uh, at page 42. And here is the function ss.rr. SS is mean for Six Sigma and RR for the gauge R and R. And there are many parameters in these functions. So you can go to the PDF link at the bottom to read more definition of each parameter. And to return the ANOVA result, I need to use the read.csv function to read the CSV file. And then after that, I will apply the ss.rr function from the Six Sigma. In Tableau Prep Builder, after I define a function, I need to define another function called getOutputSchema. Uh, it Tableau Prep Builder requires to let Tableau Prep Builder knows which field that we want to return and the data types of each field. So this is an example of get output schema on the Tableau page. So you have to declare this function and then return the data frame with three fields, latitude and longitude as a decimal type data type, and the cluster as an integer. For more information about this function, you can click on the source link at the bottom here. It will link to the Tableau page to show more information about this function and how to write the R script in Tableau Prep Builder. So I'm going to demo. Let me share the R. So this is my R console. After you install, and then I install the Six Sigma and the R stuff already. So to load the Six Sigma library, I have to type Six Sigma. So it is logged already in the R console. And now I have to load my CSV file into R console. So I create a data variables called my data, and then use read CSV function. I have the CSV right here, so just right click and choose copy as path, and then paste into this function. And for the directory in R console, you have to use 2 backslash for the directory path. And then to check if my CSV file is loaded in that variable, I use the head function, my data, and so it will load the top 5 rows in my data data set. So it will show right here. Next, if I would like to access any column in that data set, I can type my data $diet. So it will load all the values in my data with the diet columns here. And then in the R script, when you write the function, you have to convert everything into the data frame. So I will pass on this column into a data frame called df. But another way, I don't want to type on the ways like my data $sign diet. I can assign it to a variable called diet, my data $sign diet. So all these values in the diet columns from my data, it will store in the diet variable now. I do it the same for gender and the weight loss. Gender. And for weight loss. In R, you have to be careful with the space because in my data set, it had weight and a space and then loss, but R automatically convert it to a dot. So I have to type my data weight dot loss. So right now, all three columns are stored in another three different columns. I can store it into a data frame called df data.frame diet or weight loss gender diet. So it will be stored in the df already. So this is my data frame, included three columns: weight loss, gender, and diet. Now I will use the function ss.rr to return the ANOVA two-way result. So I can create a variable called ANOVA results ss.rr and pass on the column in weight loss, gender, diet, and the parameters called data. And you have to pass the data frame into this data parameter. So our console will automatically create a plot with the report dashboard like this. So it has pre-visualizations, and then you can in the R console you can see there are three tables. So one table is called complete model with interaction, another table for gauge R&R, and another table at the bottom right here. So currently my all of these table is stored in the ANOVA result. If I type ANOVA result with the square bracket 1, it will output my first table. This one is null because there's no without interaction table right here. So if I type 3, it will return this table. And if I type 4, it will return this table. And to write the R function, we have to use the any text editor. So currently I'm using this text editor to write the function. I usually run to run each line in R script in the R console because it's easy to debug. So every time I try to type in here and then type enter, I can see if it has any errors, I can fix it in the R console before I put it into the text editor. And then in the text editor, I also do the same like I did right here. So first of all, I need to install to load the Six Sigma library. So we type library Six Sigma right here, and then I create a function called ANOVA interaction declared by this is a function, and pass the DF. That is our data set. So in Tableau Prep Builder, when you input the CSV file and then connect with the script tool, Tableau Prep Builder automatically recognize that data is from data frame. And then these steps, I also um, store on the columns in the DF dataset into another variables called type, gender, and weight loss. After that, I create a data frame DF with 3 of these columns, and then use the ss.rr function, pass 3 of these columns with the data is equal DF. And if you have the tolerance number, you can pass into here and then assign it to the parameter called tolerance. And there's another parameter called bring loss. I set it to false because I don't want to show this dashboard like this in Tableau Prep Builder. So I put false for the bring loss. And this one is for the first table. I store it in variable called ANOVA in result. And from this ANOVA in result, this is for the first table, and this one is for the first column. And then I store it as the DF value. So as you can see in the table in the R console, we have the DF columns. So this is the first column that I would like to store in DF value. Same as with the sum of square value. That's in the second column. So I will store in some square value. Same for mean square value. That's in the third column. The F values in the fourth column. And the final one column is for the P values. That's in the fifth column. And a data frame, it has many columns, and they have one column for the syntax. So I use the short as the syntax. So as you can see in the R console right here, we have the syntax for gender diet, repeatability, and total. So I create a new column called source and pass all these syntax in as a list into the source. And finally, in this function, I will return the data frame called and then pass on the source, the F value, some square values, mean square value, F value, and the P value in here. In Tableau Graph Builder, it requires you to declare the function called get output schema, the function, and then you have to declare which field with the data type like this. The source is a string, the F value for int or the sum of square is a decimal. Yeah, all the time you need to you need this function to let Tableau Graph Builder know the data types of each field in your data frame. But if you work with Tableau Desktop, you don't need this. You only need to write the function like this. So now I will turn onto Tableau Graph Builder and then connect the data. So this is my, let me zoom in a little bit. So this is my diet data from the CSV file. And then when you see right here, the participant diet and gender are good because they don't have any space, but the weight loss, it has a space between. So I will change it to adult. And then I also don't need the participant, so I can remove this column in here. After that, I will connect it to the script, and Tableau wrap will show the alerts right here if you see, because no script file specified, and we have to rouse the select a script to run. So we have to rouse a file right here. But before that, we need to connect to the RServe. So I will go back to my RServe, R console, and then I need to load the package called RServe. After that, I need to call the RServe function to run the RServe executive file right here. Then I will go back to my Tableau wrap builder, and then go to help, settings, manage extension, and then choose RServe, and then I type localhost right here. You can see localhost, and the port number is 6311, and then after that I click on sign in. So there's no notification, but our source is connected already. So now I will click on the rows here, and then choose the R file that I just created from the text editor. So I can click on the gauge evaluation, and then from here you need to show which function name in that you declare in the file. So that is this one. So I think gauge evaluation is the function name. And then I click on enter. Then Tableau wrap builder will run this function, and it automatically pass the data from diet data from the previous step, and then it will pass into this function name called gauge evaluation. And then it will run my R script. As you can see, it will output the data frame as I want. So I can reorder the columns, percent tolerance, standard deviation, study var. Yes, and then you can also create another script because I would like to build the dashboard look like this. So it will need the percentage of contribution from this table, and the percentage of study variance from this table, and percentage of tolerance in this table. So I created another R script called gauge R&R report. So it will get the output from the third table is this one, and the fourth table from this table. Then I store all to this table into variables called variance components data frame and evaluation result data frame. And then I only need to get the second column from this table, and the third and the fourth column from this table. So only 3 fields. And then I also need the get output schema. So in Tableau Graph Builder, I will connect to that function. I click on Browse, gauge on our report, and let me check my function name is gauge on our report. So we'll type here gauge on our report, enter. And then it will show on the 4 columns for me. It include the source, the percent of contribution, percent of tolerance, percent of study variance, From here, I can um, output with the output tool as a hyperfile and then connect to my Tableau desktop. Um, so I built a dashboard already. So it will look like this. I just changed a little bit for the formatting with the color of each uh, diet type. Uh, yes. Uh, and remember, this data is in this dashboard is not real. Is generated by using AI. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, that is all my presentation for the session today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thanks, Lee. That was really interesting. I think it's one of the kind of more stretching use cases of Tableau Prep that I've seen. I don't know if there are any questions from the audience. If anyone does have a question for Lee, do you want to put it in the chat? But I have a question for you, Lee. I know you've got a background in computer science and you've been doing quite a lot of work within R in both Tableau Desktop and Tableau Prep. Are there any other types of analysis that you want to try and stretch Tableau to carry out that's probably not like default baked into the tool, but you can probably stretch it using R or Python?
Yeah, I really like the machine learning, and I would like to apply machine learning into Tableau Prep Builder to repair the data, or in Tableau desktops. I like the topics is forecasting the data. For example, we have data in the sales or profit, and I would like to forecast the data in the next month or next 3 months or next year by using Python and apply some package in R or Python to do that. Yeah.
Nice. I think that'll be really interesting. Have you explored using table extensions at all in Tableau Desktop? Have you played around with those?
Yes, I used to work with table extension. It would be dynamic by using the table extension to return a data frame in Tableau desktop because what I show in session today is that we output the data from Tableau Prep Builder, and that is an extract file. It's not dynamic when we need to when the users update the data. It cannot update in the Tableau desktop. If we install ourselves in the Tableau server, it's okay, but when we need to filter the data, we have to use the R script in table extension in Tableau desktops. It would be more dynamic.
Right. So the way you've created this solution, you're creating an extract file, but if anyone wants to filter the views in Tableau Desktop, it's not gonna rerun the analysis. But a way you could get around that is by using table extensions.
Yeah.
Very nice. Nathan had a comment there. I guess it's not, well, it's a question. Noted about the connection between RServe and Prep crashing and having to restart the computer to go back in. Have you had many issues with that at all? Are you connecting to RServe on your local machine, or are you connecting to an actual server? So Nathan's connecting to an RServe instance just running on his local machine, Lee. Do you have any advice for that?
I'm not sure, but maybe check your the port number or the user name is as the local host, and the port number is as 6311, because by default it's 6311, but you can also edit the port number.
Okay. Nathan, have you played around at all with installing RServe on a independent server that's not your local machine? And explored the stability there. I appreciate you can't unmute yourself. Okay. Well, maybe we can follow up with you and see. But if there's no other questions for you, Lee, then I'm happy to pass it over to June. If, as we're going through, you do have any follow-up questions for Lee, then put them in the chat, and Lee can obviously respond in the chat. But otherwise, thanks, Lee. That was a great presentation. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining.
Great. So June, I think you should be able to share your screen. I've given you presenter mode.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
First of all, just like to say, Lee, great presentation. It's always a humbling experience when you come to these tugs and then you find people sharing really great ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'll share my screen now. Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Jun. I'm currently a Tableau Forums ambassador based here in Sydney, Australia. So just like to say thank you for having me. It's always such a great privilege to be presenting at these tugs and seeing many enthusiastic Tableau fans, um, making a great success of these sessions. Um, I understand that we are here for Tableau prep, and I also understand for a fact that uh, many technical topics are covered in various tugs. So, given the fact that's usually the norm, I'm going to sort of step outside that norm and try and touch on a topic which is a little bit more fundamental, a fundamental in terms of how we go about our Tableau learning. Um, so if you allow me the next 25, 30 minutes, I hope I'll be able to give you something that you can take away and start applying in your very own Tableau journey. Okay, so the topic that I'm going to be talking about today is about uncovering the big secret to accelerating your Tableau learning. And this obviously encompasses not just Tableau Desktop, but also across um, the likes of Tableau Prep and all other aspects of that ecosystem. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right in. And I'm going to start off with a quote from someone really famous, someone we all know. Steve Jobs once said, "If you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time." And that's certainly not an exception when it comes to learning Tableau. So what I am going to be talking about today, it's certainly not some magical strategy to take us from zero to hero in a day or weeks or even months. Um, and very much like a lot of things that are worthwhile, that are good in life, they all take a fair bit of time, a lot of your efforts before you start to see the fruits of your labor. What I am going to focus on is using myself as a mini case study, um, share with you my very own Tableau journey, and using that as a baseline to explain to you what were some of the more effective learning strategies that I've undertaken, and also moving on to talking about what were some of the behavioral changes that I felt was absolutely crucial in making sure that I can fast track my Tableau learning. Starting with a little bit about myself, I first started using Tableau back in 2018, so it's been a couple of years now. Um, ever since I've fallen in love with the system, and shortly after I started using Tableau, I started getting involved in the Tableau community activities. At which point I was very fortunate to have been selected as a Tableau Forum ambassador back in 2021. and I'm so grateful to be continuing that journey until now. And more recently, I've also been invited to participate as a co-lead in the local Sydney Tableau user group, so helping the leaders there with organising and hosting our sessions. In terms of my career, I've had a number of different roles. My In the very humble beginning, I was an engineer who then became an accidental data analyst, and I worked across a various number of industries, starting with telecommunications, where I spent most of my time. I then moved across to insurance and made another hop from there to retail, which is where I am now. So yes, as you can see, it's been quite a journey in those number of years, and I can certainly say that I wouldn't have been able to achieve any of these things if it wasn't for Tableau or the Tableau community. And I'm really excited to be able to use my story to share with you, what are some of the things that I've done and experienced in order to be where I am today, and hopefully, there will be a lot of good nuggets that many of you can take away, from my experience here that I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay, so onto my Tableau journey. So this is exactly what my Tableau journey looked like at the very start. Now, some of you in the audience might look at this and think, okay, well, you know, roller coaster does come across as something that's super fun and enjoyable, but I'm just one of those people that, yeah, never got used to the idea of enjoying myself on a roller coaster. So I guess you can take the message on how it would have been to me when I first started. So it was a very challenging experience, very tough. Had a lot of ups and downs, but um, you know how people say that there is always that light at the end of the tunnel, and I think very thankfully I've been able to find that light, and that is why I am here today, and I'm very happy to be able to share my Tableau journey on a page with you. And this is what it looks like. So before I go into the nitty gritties of how this chart reads, just to explain to you uh, how this is supposed to be interpreted. So just going across the x-axis, obviously that represents a timeline, but going across the y-axis, that's representative of I guess, my own take in my level of competence slash my level of confidence in Tableau at those instances across that timeline. So as you can see at the very start of that journey, you can see me going through that roller coaster ride. On some days it was very much on the upward trend, uh, and other times been hitting the troughs. So it's basically been a repetition of that. But it was just overwhelming, I suppose, at the very start, where after having built my first bar charts and line charts, and I felt I was really going somewhere with this, only to find that there was a whole heap of stuff that I needed to cover. You have your LEDs, and then comes along your order of operations, and then understanding what context filter is all about, all of these things. It was so overwhelming to the point where at one stage I literally was on the verge of calling it quits, and thinking that, okay, well, maybe I'm not cut out to do this. But it was also at the precipice of that moment that I managed to find myself a really good mentor, who is a really good friend of mine. He really helped to turn things around in a big way. And it was also around that time when I thought, okay, well, maybe I need to be a little bit more strategic in terms of how I approach this learning of Tableau. So then I actually started looking around for learning opportunities, and it was then that I found the Tableau e-learning and various um, self-paced online courses that I came across on the likes of Udemy. And they've really helped to build out a really good, strong foundation in Tableau. And as you can see, ever since I've started undertaking those courses, you can actually see that I'm no longer going on that roller coaster ride anymore, but you can actually see the gradual rise of that level of competence as I go. Um, and it got to a stage where I felt that I had enough confidence to sort of put myself out there and kind of test myself out to see how far I've come on that journey. And it was around that time when I decided I'm going to be sitting those two examinations, starting with Tableau Desktop Specialist, followed by your Certified Associate, which I believe now has been replaced with the Data Analyst certification. In hindsight, I can certainly say that that process or that experience of having sat through those exams is just priceless uh, for two reasons. For number one, it really was an occasion to do a reality check, just so that I don't get ahead of myself. And secondly, it also helped me to identify where my weaknesses were. So it really helped me to sort of reinforce those areas that needed more attention, more focus, to really help in building out that foundation before I actually moved on to the next stage of that development. So if anybody here in the audience has been thinking or considering maybe sitting these exams, then my recommendation is that you should definitely go for it because there is a lot that you will learn from that experience. So then now we actually come across this part of the chart where you see this great big green line, and I particularly wanted to mark this to indicate something of significance there. Something so significant to the point where, as you go past that green line, you see the step chart starting to take a huge ramp up. And that's when the accelerated learning actually started to happen. So there was a trigger point, and I'd like to really drill in to explaining what that trigger was. Um, so starting with, what were some of the learning strategies or the styles of learning that I've encountered? So there's two in total. Um, so starting with the structured learning, and this is your Tableau e-learning and various sorts of self-paced online courses, which I've briefly mentioned previously, which are all very nicely laid out with set syllabus, and these are very much a guided lessons that was super easy to follow with some hands-on exercises in between, and these were just destined to be to help you feel very confident once you get to the end of that course. Um, and it certainly did that in helping me to build that baseline, which also became a great enabler for me to then move on to a different style of learning, which in this instance I refer to it as the unstructured learning, which essentially means that rather than being served on a silver platter, it actually boiled down to the type of learning that was your own making. And then what I mean by that is the entire onus was on you to go out and find yourself that learning opportunity. And to put into right perspective, I guess one example that I can quote is in one of my old jobs, one of the things that I did was, rather than just settling in for my immediate responsibilities in the current role that I had at that time, I actually stepped outside that, and I literally went around to various people around the organization asking, "Hey, is there anything that I can help you with using Tableau or Tableau Prep? I can, build out certain solutions to help you improve your productivity." And that's exactly what I did, because I was actively seeking opportunities to get my hands dirty, because every new ad hoc activity that I engaged in meant that there was an extra opportunity for me to learn something new, because it was a new challenge, and it really helped me to activate that critical thinking, which I think is one of the key catalysts in helping you to really boost your learning capacity. So And don't think for a second that that's the only way you can actually go out and help yourself to accelerate that learning process. But there is, and there are, in fact, a lot of other great examples. One of which I'm going to be sharing with you very shortly. An example where you can use this platform to gain as much opportunity, and also the other added benefit of such a learning style is that you can also have an option to try and gamify this experience. Because let's face it, learning is hard, and it's challenging, and you really need to have the right discipline to stay the course, and it's really only going to help to maintain that momentum. If you had something that's going to keep it fun and keep it engaging. So um, I will come back to this topic a little bit later on, but certainly one thing that I wanted to emphasize here is that between the two styles of learnings that I've encountered, it wasn't necessarily a case of saying one of these is far superior than the other, but it's the focus is more on the fact that the two styles of learning do have a synergy. It's certainly something that we can take advantage of. And speaking from my own experience, as you can see in this chart now, it was the early part of my journey where I heavily leveraged on that structured learning piece, which then gave me the fundamentals that I needed to then move on to taking on the unstructured learning, which, as you can see now clearly, has been the cornerstone of enabling that acceleration in terms of learning Tableau. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move on to talking about some of the more tangible needs or key ingredients that we need to make that acceleration happen in your Tableau learning. So they come in threes. So the first one is going to be the opportunity piece, and it's quite critical that we don't overlook this particular ingredient. Um, from your day-to-day activities, be it at work or any other settings for that matter, more often than not, we usually isolate ourselves to, let's say, a common data set or common set of objectives that we have to work towards, which unfortunately doesn't give us enough exposure to many other um, potential problems that are out there. So what this means is that you're kind of capped in terms of how much learning that you can have from your day to day. So rather than settling in for that, you really need to be going out and looking for opportunities for new learning. And as I mentioned before, there is a great example that I'm going to be sharing with you very shortly. But certainly, it's one of the things that I would like to emphasize to anyone who is serious about accelerating your Tableau learning, and finding the opportunity or abundance of opportunities is going to be a first step to getting there. Next is the bit about struggle, and just to give you an example on this, let's say that you're cracking through 20 different questions, and you don't break a sweat doing it. That's a clear indication to me that you're not learning anything new because it's so easy for you. What you really need is really just one question that you're going to struggle with for a good couple of hours at a time. And once you get to the end of that process, and you sort of come out with an answer, then you can kind of look back and think, yeah, wow, the last 2 to 3 hours that I spent, exploring and experimenting to get to that answer has really paid off, because it meant that you've actually genuinely learned something new. And there are numerous accounts that I can reflect on, which indicates to me that to learn something new, to struggle with a problem, is something that is absolutely crucial, and it just forms a mandatory part of that learning process. So embracing the fact that that struggle is just part of that journey, and the importance of going out and finding a challenge that is worthwhile and that is sure to give you that struggle piece. It's definitely something worth mentioning about. And the last ingredient that I like to highlight is the bit about sharing. my motto has always been that sharing is actually, in fact, learning. And you might be asking, well, what's the relevance of the two? I can certainly say that I found myself on numerous occasions failing miserably trying to explain a concept or an idea to another person, and being unable to clearly articulate or convey the message. And I actually also read somewhere that if you ever find yourself in that situation, it's a clear indication that you don't fully understand the subject matter at hand. So uh, the act of trying to share or teach another person kind of works as a feedback loop to yourself to highlight to you, the areas that really need a little bit more attention, more focus, for you to then go back, reinforce that learning, and come back once you have a better a knowledge of that, of that particular subject. So, so these three key elements, I found them to be something um, of a critical nature. Um, and I'm going to be showing you an example next on where you can go to making sure that you get access to all these three key elements. And that is Tableau Community Forums. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this site, it is a place where virtually anyone can come along. They can either choose to ask a question, or you can choose to be on the other side of the fence and help another person answer their question as well. So coming back to those three key ingredients that I referred to earlier on, I'm going to show you how this actually checks all the boxes. In terms of opportunities, from this snippet alone, you're looking at some numbers, and this is obviously by now at this particular point in time, it's well in excess of 250,000 questions and counting. So in terms of the opportunities that I mentioned, the number of problems and challenges that you can actually put yourself up to, that checks out. Number two, the bit about struggle. Surely, out of 250,000 questions, there's going to be a handful of questions that's going to give you a bit of run for your money. So again, that's another area where it checks the box. And lastly, once you've actually found an answer to those problems, where else can you think of that's better than Tableau Community Forums? One of the ways you can actually share that information in the Tableau Community Forums is to document the solutions to those problems, and you're only going to be sharing with tens of thousands of people that are already members of this community site. So again, that's the other one that checks the box. The other added bonus of this particular platform is that you can also use this to gamify the whole learning experience as well, as I mentioned before. And how we go about doing it, I'll give you a little bit of an insider information on how this operates. So let's just say that somebody comes along and registers a question in this space, and we've got different areas within the forums, and we've got sections that are dedicated to Tableau Desktop. We've also got a channel that's dedicated to Tableau Prep, for example. So if you're a prep person, if you're a desktop person, you can choose to be in either. Um, and and the beauty of it is that when a question gets registered, you're going to have a whole heap of people that are going to be jumping on trying to answer the question. And when that happens, it turns into a little bit of a mini race where you want to be that first person to getting that answer through, because the first person who comes through the line, obviously with the correct answer, has a high likelihood of walking away with some extra points. Now, while point system is not meant to, actually, let me say this again. The point isn't necessarily the most important part of this, but what it does is it kind of creates that healthy competition amongst the people that are trying to answer the question. So it kind of adds that fun factor to it. And the fun factor in this instance is actually quite important to helping you maintaining that engagement and keeping you staying on course with that learning process. So yeah, if any of you in the audience is quite serious about really picking up your pace in terms of your learning, Tableau Community Forums is going to be that place, one of those places, and I'm not saying that this is the only place, where you can really take advantage of that unstructured learning piece that I explained to you earlier on, and really helping you to boost your learning capacity. I'm now going to move on to talking about some of the behavioral qualities that I think is quite ideal in making sure that you can fast track your learning. Again, it comes in threes. So the first one of the rank is going to be about getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. Um, I mean, we all acknowledge that learning is quite tough and it can be quite taxing. And you know, in order to be able to share the cause, it's very important that we hold on and that we embrace this one idea that we will grow and that we will step up if we can persevere a little bit of discomfort in the moment. And it's a little like saying, here's the end goal, and every question that I tackle just means that I'm going to be a step closer to reach that goal of mastering Tableau. So yeah, so once you embrace that idea that there is no pain, no gain, then yeah, you're certainly going to be on the right track of things. Tip number two. I know somebody really famous said this already, but I'm gonna have to repeat it here again because it is that important that we do acknowledge the importance of just diving right in and just doing it. A why? The answer to that question is because our life will only change when we start doing. Um, if I put myself on as an example, I used to be rather very passive, but the moment I started to move away from that habit, I started to see a true magic really come about in my life when real changes started to happen. So it's about always staying proactive, never shying away from opportunities, and really just getting involved, getting engaged, because you'll be so surprised at what you find when you start actually doing things rather than thinking and anticipating it too much. So, yep, my advice is just go for it. And tip number three, and this was going to be the big secret that I actually wanted to share, and I just wanted to save the best for last, and that's why it's actually here towards the end of that presentation. And as I was putting the slide pack together, I thought, hold on, you know, if this is supposed to be the big secret, then you know, I can't give it away that easy. So I might just turn this into a little bit of a challenge for the audience. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be playing a little game, and I need a little bit of participation from the audience to help me um, answer this question. So what I did is I actually built a game on Tableau Public, and let me just try and navigate there and see if I can do this screen share correctly. Just bear with me for a moment, thank you. Okay, I'll slide this one over. Okay, can everyone see this? Jack, are we?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, all
Okay,
good.
fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so the aim of this game is to try and finish this sentence, which reads: the secret to accelerating your Tableau learning is to do what? It's a four-letter word, and we get 5 chances to get this right. So, oh, okay. So what we're looking for is, you know, either call out the actual secret word, or you help me to try and type in the letters. Um, so do we have any takers? Care? Unfortunately, no. Uh, but maybe you like to actually try some of the letters to try and get you a little bit closer. Play, data. These are all really good examples. But how about if I said to you G? How about a G? So okay, that's the first letter G. Um, A, unfortunately, no. A, nope. Goal, good try. But how about V? Okay. Grow, sorry, unfortunately. Give, that's it. That's it. So the answer is, I'll finish the rest of this now. So the answer is give. And let me explain to you how this actually works in the context of what we're discussing. So let me just go back and do that. Oh, sorry, gone back too far. Yes, so the answer was give. And what I mean by that is it's all about giving of your time, your efforts to try and help an individual out, or maybe a group of people who might be struggling with a problem on their very own Tableau journey. And using the Tableau community forums as an example, if you choose to help another person out, then what you're essentially doing is, you're first of all you're actually doing something good with your skills, with your data skills. Um, and certainly, you're going to be having a really positive impact on someone else's life. So that's another good thing. But also, equally importantly, um, you know, you quickly realize that you just created yourself a great new learning opportunity by taking on a new challenge. And obviously, the more that you choose to do this, the more people that you choose to help out, you quickly realize that what you get back from that experience in terms of your learning it's only going to be many multiples of what you put in or what you give in the first place. So yeah, so it's certainly, if you look at it from that perspective, it certainly means that there actually is a lot to being a giver and what it means to be that giver. So just going back to the very original question, what is it about giving? Like in the context of what we're talking about, to give basically means to be helping yourself to accelerating that Tableau learning. So this was definitely giving me one of those key pieces that I wanted to pass over to you guys. If this information here isn't convincing enough for you to make you feel inclined to become that giver, then there is another information which I'd love to share with you. And that is this book which I actually came across. And I'm not sure if anybody in the audience is familiar with this book called Give and Take. It's by Adam Grant. I think he's written quite a few good books out there. But in his book on Give and Take, he talks about there being three different types of people out there. There's the takers, the matchers, and the givers. Where the takers are the people that are always looking for opportunities to get as much as possible from those people around them. The matchers are the people that strongly believe in equal transactions, meaning that if I gave 50, then I expect 50 back in return. While the givers are the group of people that are willingly giving to others without really expecting anything in return. So the big question here is, out of these three groups of people, who are generally the most successful in their lives? And the book is all about, using case studies to explain, and also based on Adam's research, who ultimately is the biggest winner at the end of the day. And it turns out that the givers are generally the most successful group of people in their lives. So, once again, there's mounting evidence here that suggests that there actually is a lot more to being a giver. And, I certainly like to hope that many of you will take this to heart and just try and give this a go. And finding out for yourself what it actually means to be a giver, because certainly when you start doing this, you'll start to see a true magic happen in your life as it has happened in mind. Um, so yeah. So I'm going to try and wrap it up there. But before I go, I'd just like to try and summarize what we discussed today using this one pager. And I actually came up with this four-letter abbreviation because we're all talking about fast tracking our learning, accelerating. So in that context, I thought, okay, well maybe fast is something that we can all remember after this presentation. Where F in this instance stands for find, as in go out there and find your new learning opportunities, whatever it may be. Once you've found that new challenge, spend enough time to analyze what is required. And once you've understood what needs to be worked on, then the onus is on you to then try and explore and experiment as much as possible. Undergo that struggle process because, as I said before, without a struggle, you're not really learning anything. So make sure that you do find a challenge that is worthwhile. And once you've learned something from that struggle, make sure that you go out and teach other people, because to teach other people means that you're once again creating that opportunity for you to learn. And I think that's a wrap. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for your time once again. It's been a great privilege to be able to share this information with you today.
Amazing. Thanks, June. I think you're definitely establishing yourself as a giver with all that you do for the Tableau community. So good job there. Before we wrap up, are there any questions for June? No? Okay. Well, what I can do is share. June, can we share these slides with people that have attended?
Sorry, let me just unmute myself first. Sure, I'll send it to you separately outside this meeting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I will get these slides from June. I'm not sure if I can actually email them out through Bevy, but if we can't, I will post them either in the Slack channel and also in the Tableau community forums. I'm pretty sure we can email out from Bevy. I just have to check. Yes, Victoria, there will be a video of this. I've recorded the session, so I have to just wait for that to process, and then it should appear on the Bevy page for this event. So if you just search on Google for Tableau Prep User Group, you'll be taken to what's called the chapter page. And then from there, you should be able to see all of the past sessions. And then if you click on to today's session in the same way that you would have done to join, you should see the recording there. It should be up sometime later this week. I'll try to get it done tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled there. But that's everything from us today. Thank you everyone for joining, and big thanks to June and Lee for your presentations. They're both great. If anyone is heading to Tableau conference, I will be there. So if anyone wants to connect and chat Tableau prep or anything Tableau related, feel free to reach out to me. But otherwise, Victoria, you'll be there. So let's connect. Enjoy Tableau conference on Salesforce Plus if you're not making it to San Diego, and we'll see you at the next prep user group in June. Thanks, everyone.